How's it going, guys? And welcome to your SmackDown review. So, if you're new to this type of format, I've said I'm not going through each and every segment point for point. Kind of going to do more of a summary thing, make things move a little bit quicker. So, we're going to get right into it. So, for me, the biggest moment on this show, and I'm sure for a lot of people, was Lita coming back to do an interview. This was not even promoted or anything like that. Listen to when she came out. That was one of the biggest pops I've heard in a long time, even from a lot of like the male superstars. And it shows you that they always got to go back to the legends at the end of the day, because no one is built up like that where they can receive that sort of reception from the crowd. And even though the live crowd isn't everything, it's mostly about home audience. You got to admit, like, that's not piped in noise, because you could hear, the reception of someone like Charlotte versus Lita, like the amount of crowd, interaction with her is like unparalleled. And so this leads from Michael Cole interviewing her to Charlotte coming out. And like as they're face to face, I can't help but, notice something. Charlotte has like a ton of makeup on. Lita has very minimal on, and she looks so much better. I mean, Lita's in her 40s here, and Charlotte is she's in her early 30s, and I would say you could easily reverse their ages, no problem. And kind of shows like it just, really like too much with Charlotte, like just completely covering her face in makeup, trying to look the best she can, but I don't think even realizing that someone like Lita comes along and just looks so much better than her. And I mean, we're talking about being in a league of their very own. I mean, those divas from the early 2000s, late 90s, I mean, unparalleled as far as, looking like a star. There's very few of the women that kind of have that sort of look to them. And you could even sense it, you could feel it when she came out. I mean, Lita has the star power without a doubt, and it was great to see her here. Lita hits the twist of fate on Charlotte, and I guess it was good. I didn't really care too much for like the mic work from like either of them. I mean, it just kind of felt a little stupid. Lita telling her she has a big head, and Charlotte doing, more of her just very cookie cutter heel work. And I just, it was good for a moment, but as far as like what went on the mic, I really could care less about it. It wasn't anything to write home about, but just to see her come out and be there after, it's been a few years, and she's talking about why she's in the Royal Rumble and being on a second run. Like, I will not be opposed to seeing her come back from a second run, but honestly, like after how long has it been? Like 16 years? Is this the time really to come back for a second run? I guess, if she does, I mean, that will really put a dent in the argument of what Mickey James always says about how the divas are always presumed to be worthless, like when they get into their 40s and they usually kick them to the curb. Well, if she comes back for a second run, I guess that's not a matter of fact now, is it? But yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying that that's kind of late for anyone to start making a comeback. I know Edge did it, but be that as it may, I mean, it's kind of different when it comes to like one of the women. She's really gonna put her body out there at this time. We know Lita what she's capable of, especially now. So she's gonna want to try to keep up with some of the younger girls there, and she's gonna start doing spots off of ladders. I don't know. It could just be, she ends up getting eliminated in the Royal Rumble, and that's it. And that's just like all talk, because we've kind of seen this thing before. Talks of second runs that never get followed through on. Um, we have Rollins and Reigns. Nothing blew me away with this. You know, there's the story of Reigns and Rollins and the Shield, but we've done this so many times throughout the years, and kind of the argument would be that okay, well now Reigns is the heel, and Rollins, well, isn't he the heel too? But I guess I don't know what kind of character role he's supposed to be playing here. But I wasn't feeling anything from this promo. Rollins, he puts his fist out and he says, come on, you want to. And like, I don't know, Reigns kind of calling him a clown and everything. And this just wasn't doing it for me. And I also wasn't too crazy about this whole thing of like Rollins like jumping over the Usos like they're coming to get him. It was like very clownish and like Rollins, who's this former world champion. Can you imagine like The Rock like leapfrogging like over members of like the I don't know the corporate ministry or like the McMahon Helmsley faction like back in the day, just like whoa, and you see like Triple H just fly under the Rock's legs. That's kind of what you got here, and I was like, why are we doing this? This is not like who Rollins is supposed to be. I mean, couldn't Rollins just maybe grab a chair and just smash the Usos if we wanted to like have them get involved and do that assault on Rollins? Because here that just made everything worse. I mean, it was bad enough the promo and the story are just shoehorned in there, but this just, yeah, I did not like this at all. I mean, after seeing like the Brocks and Reigns stuff and there's some intrigue, this is kind of like a downgrade. I get it. It's like a placeholder, it's a time filler because like whatever they had originally planned, someone said in the comments last week this would have been the excellent chance for Jeff Hardy to come in there and have his main event match with Reigns, but of course we all know what happened with that. So, but this would have been a great moment. They don't have anybody. They had to bring in Rollins from Raw when they didn't even have to bring anyone over from Raw. They could have just gotten Jeff Hardy to be in this spot, and it looked like he was kind of headed there anyway in that direction. We had this really weird, a lot of like, really like two weird, shitty segments. We had Aaliyah and Natalya, and this was about the Guinness Book of World Records. Apparently, I don't know when they started recording records for wrestling in Guinness, and I'm not even sure if that's an actual thing, but Natalya comes down to the ring holding the Guinness Book of World Records. And Aaliyah, yeah, remember her? Haven't we like not seen her since Survivor Series? Remember her big win? They took her off the Survivor Series team. Now she's back again about like 2 months later, and she's gonna have her singles debut. I've never seen this before. Like you have multiple debuts, tag debuts, singles debuts, and the singles debut comes 2 whole months after the tag debut. Whatever. Anyway, she's getting beat up during like the before the match even begins. I actually thought that this was the match already, and I'm like, how is this a record breaking win? And then it turns out that the match never even started. They ring the bell. She gets a quick, of course, schoolboy roll up on Natalya, and it's supposed to be the fastest win ever in WWE history. Really? Like, honestly, like even faster than The Rock and Boss Man at Survivor Series 98. I mean, there's been a lot of really fast wins, and here we're already saying like this was like 3 point something seconds. Is that even possible? I guess they claim that it is. I mean, they could have whatever record they want. But I mean, wow, to give that to Aaliyah of all people, who how many people want to take bets how much longer she's gonna last in this company? Not much longer, I don't think. So yeah, that was a really bizarre segment to center it around that and the Guinness Book of World Records, which is not the first thing I think of when I think of wrestling. We had this other segment with Naomi and Sonya Deville backstage with one of the most literal interpretations I've ever seen. You know how we've seen Sonya telling Naomi week after week, when I'm wearing this jacket, you can't touch me. Well, they actually make like the room is too cold, right? Then Pierce comes in, turns the dial on it, ups the temperature in the room. It gets too hot. They start taking their jackets off because they comment there's something wrong with the thermostat. So Naomi happens to just re-enter the room when Sonya Deville is taking her jacket off. And she's like, "Oh, now your jacket's off." And then Pierce gets in between Sonya and Naomi and makes a rematch with Charlotte and Naomi. I mean, like, that's what I mean by literal interpretation. So when she takes the jacket off, just the jacket and no other part of her work attire, that like qualifies her as fair game. Like, you want to talk about eye rolling. Come on. That right there, you got to admit, that's some total cringe right there. The Sami Zayn thing I did find to be somewhat funny. He's up on the ramp with two, I guess they're two NXT guys, two performance workers, indie guys, wherever you want to call them. And they're going to send him down the ramp on a shopping cart. And they have this other wooden ramp set up, and he's supposed to jump the ring. And there's an X where the announcer's table is. Obviously, this would be physically impossible. So they don't end up doing it. He keeps on stalling and saying, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Don't do it, don't do it." Then he gets out of the shopping cart. He walks over to the Target to inspect it. And then Nakamurphy and Boogs come out of nowhere and they 2-on-1 assault this guy. I talked about this in the past, but like, you're beating up on a heel unprovoked, and your baby face is like, what? Like, okay, up to this point, I enjoyed the segment, but like, we're making Boogs, who's like likable, but we saw this also when he was picking on Corbin. Like, this is not like a baby face, like being a nice guy. You're bullying the dude. You're picking on him. Boogs picks him up over his head, military presses him, slams him into the X, which was supposed to be the target where the shopping cart was supposed to hit. I mean, segment would have been fine if maybe, we had a way of like getting some way to provoke Boogs, but he wasn't even involved in the segment, and neither was Nakamurphy. So kind of was just, I would say I was left scratching my head, but this is what we've come to expect, like baby faces getting heat on the heels. And then we had a fatal 4-way tag team match as well. This was supposed to determine who was going to be the number one contenders for the Usos. I did like how they did their intros for the teams. That kind of added a little bit of pizzazz, a little something extra to it. But, the Viking Raiders, the Usos then get up on top of the announce table and they just say, you're going to be one and done. And that's pretty much what it really is going to be. Do we really see the Viking Raiders at this point? Are they going to just swoop in like that and take the titles off of the Usos? I don't think so. Like, are we honestly going to have a match where we know what the result is going to be? We know that they have no chance against the Usos, but we're going to go ahead with it anyway. Okay, I don't know. This show right here did not have really anything to offer me, from Guinness Book of World Records to thermostats to this Rollins thing. I know, I was higher on Rollins with the Edge thing, but like Reigns and Seth, like they there's nothing here right now that's like making me want to see these guys go at it. It's a shoehorned in match with no reason to happen, no lead in. It's as random as hell. There's no good transition into it other than they have nothing else in the meantime. And obviously Brock couldn't be there. So, we've got nothing here. Nothing even with Heyman, no intrigue, nothing interesting, nothing eventful. We had Lita. That was about it, which was really random as hell as well. It was great to see her. I think it was a decent moment, to be sure. Of course, we're all going to forget about it in a couple of weeks anyway. But you know what I mean? It was good for what it was. But yeah, definitely not a great show by any means from what I saw. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click the bells to get all notifications when I post all my new videos. And I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next time.